And now we have our new commissioner, Commissioner Lee.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be here.
And if you'd like to take just a couple minutes and tell us who you are and where you're coming from, it'd be
Okay,
great.
Sure. Let's start with from the beginning. I'm an immigrant, came here when I was 5. And my first words in English were, "Can I play?" So it established a long relationship with play. And I found out that play is a very powerful phenomenon that can teach us life skills, taught me confidence, taught me communication, competitive achievement, leadership, teamwork, integrity, social responsibility, and the list goes on. So I'm very happy to be here today. I ended up with a 35-year career at UCSB as Director of Recreation. So I'm happy to be here servicing the city of Santa Maria. Previous to this, I just slept here. So it's an honor to finally live in this community, enjoy the many benefits of this wonderful environment. Except for the wind.
Yeah, we know. It's just, well, you've lived here, so you know, it's just for a finite period of time.
It's baseball season, right?
Always, oh, yeah. Little League,
Yeah.
you haven't lived till you had Little League in this.
We had children who played Little League, so I
Yeah.
remember well.
Well, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, meeting's called to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Henderson?
Here.
Commissioner Perry?
Here.
Commissioner Patterson? Here. Commissioner Velasco? Here. Commissioner Lee?
Here.
Are there any corrections to the minutes? Nope. Okay,
I'll move to approve. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public comment. We actually have somebody coming in a little bit. They're on their way. And
So if we can, we'll delay public
Yeah, yeah.
comment down later in the
Totally.
agenda when the group shows. There should be about 8 people here.
Wow, okay.
From the patch to
So
do
these
the
guys.
presentation.
Perfect. Okay, new business. We're going to review Measure U for the 2019-2020 budget requests.
Before Dennis gets started on that one, Dennis, do you want to introduce your guest?
Hi, Commissioners. Good afternoon. Sitting next to me is Dante Gamble. Dante is an intern from Cal Poly. He'll be working 40 hours a week through the first week of June on various projects. Currently, he's been working on measuring the amount of concrete we have in city parks, roadways and paths, to hopefully get put on a list for maintenance down the road. So although not fun and glamorous, he's learning a little bit, hopefully. He's got some other projects in the works, including how to care for trees. We're doing a brochure on that from the CAL FIRE grant with not only our city requirements, but in general requirements on how to care for a new tree, whether it be a city tree or one in your backyard. So he's got some projects in the works. And we're glad to have him. We're going to utilize him to his full capability. You want to say anything, Dante?
Thank you for having me here.
So I'm going to put you on the spot, Dante, sorry. So can you tell the commissioners a little bit about what, your background, your experience?
Well, I've lived in Santa Maria my whole life. I grew up, I'm sorry.
It's all right, we put you on the spot.
I went to Rigetti High School, and from there I studied at Allen Hancock College, and I got my associates in recreation management, and from there I transferred to Cal Poly, where I continued to get my, about to finish my degree in recreational management. And for the last 3.5 years before I went to Cal Poly, I was a rec leader here for the city of Santa Maria, and that's where I really found my passion for working with the public and in municipal recreation, and I hope to further my career in the recreational field.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Wait, I have a question. Just since probably for both of you. So since you're checking out all three of you, the concrete in the parks, does that mean you possibly permeable surfaces are in play here?
Yeah, it's a potential, you know, as the roads start to degrade, you know, we may choose to go with a different surface to replace that. Absolutely a possibility.
Good.
Some of the Prop 68 projects, you know, specify looking at pervious pavement, or whatever they call it nowadays, but there's several products out there. But right now, the focus of what we have is to try to work with our Public Works Department and make the repairs so that we can address our accessibility issues in some of the parks.
Thank you.
Measure U funding. So last year we put together a list of potential programs and different divisions of the department to possibly be funded by Measure U. And now that it's passed, the Measure U has passed, we're looking at transitioning in the 1920 year some of those programs to that funding source. The largest, of course, would be our Park Service Officer division. So while we'll hold the division still within Recreation and Parks, the funding will come from the Measure U account, and that looks like Park Service Officer funding. Let me look here. Total, it's about $300,000 for 2 officers that are currently being funded under the homeless grant. That expires at the end of this fiscal year, so we're able to keep them on under Measure U funding, as well as upgrading a position to 32-hour-a-week position. So that we have those currently filled, so we won't see an expansion in the force, but we'll be able to maintain that force through the Measure U funding. Some of the other projects we have proposed and hopefully will get passed include upgrading our weekend rounds. Right now, we have a couple of staff that go out to the parks on the weekends and make sure the barbecue pits are empty, the garbage cans are empty, the picnic areas are clean for our guests. We're looking to expand those to a 4-day-a-week program, so they would go out on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, so they could make sure everything's totally ready for the weekend and not trying to hit all of our parks first thing on Saturday morning and on Sunday morning. Another opportunity is to increase our graffiti removal and shopping cart retrieval program, and that's also expanding from just a couple of days a week to more hours, so we'll be going to 32 hours for those positions, which will double what we currently have. We're looking at bringing on a Mayor's Youth Task Force Coordinator. This position would work with Eddie Galarza, our Community Outreach Coordinator, as well as our new Facility Specialist, to Megan, who will be at the future commission meeting, to really expand opportunities for Eddie and Megan to meet with new agencies, to maybe assist with funding, to really partner with outside organizations and oversee the day-to-day operations of the Mayor's Task Force. And then also as part of the Mayor's Task Force, we've asked for 2 new vans and 2 new rec leader positions, our recreation leader positions, to drive those vans to assist with youth and teen programming throughout the community. Currently, we did just receive a grant for more than 1,000 bus passes for the summer months. This would be to help supplement that for those who are not close to a bus stop and those kind of activities. We also are working towards, with other agencies right now, gathering data on what teen programs they're offering, so then we can market it, the bus passes and the programs for the summer months to teens, showing where all the teen activities are going on in Santa Maria. The total request for that was $801,412 for all 5 of those programs that we're looking to expand on or maintain, and it goes to City Council on the 16th.
It goes along with the new budget.
The new
Yes.
budget.
So whenever they consider that, I think it's in May.
And that's the Measure U update. Any questions about what we proposed?
I'm really happy that the graffiti is going to be kept on, hopefully, kept
Increased.
on and funded, because when I go to other cities, and then I'm so aware of how important it is in ours and what a great job this city does.
And that's supervisors here today. Gabriel is the one that oversees graffiti
Yeah,
and his
it's-
crew, and they do an amazing job
They
with the
do.
staff they have and the hours they have. It just means that it's expected to be close to perfect
Yeah.
when we increase hours, hopefully.
It's great.
Commissioner Carey, one of the things that we're trying to do with these program expansions is be able to take some of the limited service, those 19-hour-a-week positions that we have, move them into 32-hour positions, which is, in our department, it's kind of the bulk of our labor force is those permanent part-time individuals, and a lot of our people use that as a ladder to move through the system. We're fortunate in the last few months to be able to promote from our 32-hour positions into some of our full-time positions. So it's again building a career ladder for some of our people who, you know, really do work really hard on the weekends or work really hard doing 19-hour-a-week kind of jobs and then have 3 other jobs in order to make a living. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to retain some of our good talent. You might remember a few months back, Public Works and Utilities kind of cherry-picked a few of our employees who were, on an eligibility list. And so we filled all of our vacancies, so that's a good thing. We're still looking for our 19-hour-a-week recreation leader positions, building attendant positions. Those kinds of positions are still being, I guess it's like an open recruitment, so we can continue to fill those spots. But that gives a lot of our young people in the community a chance to get a job, learn what it takes to be an employee, and, we get a chance to train them in some good skills that they can use later on. So it's been a good program. We're hoping that the expenditures for Measure U have already been presented to the council in concept, so that part of the budget will just be packaged up and sent along with our other requests. Dennis just received the budget instructions for the remainder of this fiscal year, which is July 1 through June 30 of 2020. Oh, geez. And so we'll be working on some upgrades, changes to the budget, those kinds of things. But it's a unique opportunity to be able to have a Measure U to fund some of the projects. I think staff has made a comment every time I hear somebody talk about it, in that they appreciate the fact that the voters approved it, and it's up to us now to give them back the service that they deserve, that vote of confidence kind of thing that they did by approving the measure. So we'll see how that works out over the next year. We have had Measure U in existence already, so a lot of the services that we funded, like the expansion of part-time individuals, money going into the Ranger program, that was all prior Measure U funding. So it's good to be able to kind of expand it a little.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner
Yeah.
I just had one quick question, and part of that request, the graffiti and shopping cart increase. I'm just curious, because we haven't really touched base since we've made those changes to the fees imposed to the businesses for shopping carts, but it seems that, just in March, 45 shopping carts, seems like a lot of staff time still being used for that. So are we collecting the fines? Does it seem to be a deterrent? Are there businesses making changes? Do we need to increase those fines? Because that seems like
If you like talking.
a strain on our...
So let's have Supervisor Velasco come up and talk a little bit about what his crew is doing right now. Yeah.
And just a clarification, is that from the park service officers that you read the 45? Yeah, so that's in addition to what Gabriel's staff is doing, as well as other city divisions are doing, departments are doing in collecting. I don't know what your numbers are currently, Gabriel.
Thank you. I was going to add
So
something.
our numbers will stay pretty consistent. They're pretty consistent. The one is that we're noticing that the stores are actually hiring people strictly to go pick up the carts in their area. And we're noticing it in the Foodsco area on Enos, the Food Max area on North Broadway. All the Vallarta stores have been really cooperative. And now that we have the new ordinance where if we find 3 shopping carts from the same store, we report it, we send it to code compliance, they work up a letter, send it to the stores. What we've noticed is the process is a little long, so it might be a while before we actually start seeing some fines coming back in. And most of the stores have been responsive to the letter they're getting. So we're seeing that as a reaction, then actually sending out people to pick up the carts. But the number of carts we're picking up has been pretty steady. We haven't seen an increase, we haven't seen a decrease. But we have seen the stores be a little more proactive of getting them in their area. So I don't know if that's the information you're looking for. I didn't come prepared with numbers. I could put some numbers together for your next meeting, but that's what we've noticed with the new ordinance.
And I've noticed it, businesses, they've changed, some of the businesses have changed their shopping carts so that they can't leave the premise and things like that, but.
We've noticed more enclosures are starting to go up. We've noticed a couple new enclosures where they're actually chaining them at night. We noticed the Albertsons on McCoy. We're not seeing as much in the recycling area and the bus stops where it was really a mess, because we noticed they started chaining them at night. That's something they never did, so anyone could just go in, grab a cart in the middle of the night and run off with it. Now that, I think that's cutting down on a lot of the straggler carts, we call them, where they end up all over town.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you. Oh geez, where's the? Okay, we're waiting, we're going to have a presentation
I'm hoping, yes.
from the Patch group, and they're not quite here yet, so we'll just keep going down the agenda, and then when the Patch people kiddos get here, we will have them. So how about no old business, informational reports, oral budget update? That's you.
With about 75% of the year complete, we're under budget, about 7.5%. As we go into summer, we will see that number start to drop as we're starting to buy supplies and equipment, and hire additional staff, our recreation leaders, our lifeguards, our swim instructors. So a lot of those savings are from cost savings, but we'll start to see those dwindle as we gear up for summertime.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Noteworthy activities.
So Commissioners, you have your noteworthy activities report. You know, even though it's been spring and it's been pretty busy, lots of things going on. Probably the biggest event that we helped support was the Open Streets event. Again, Gabriel and his staff were the key players in that as far as Rec and Parks goes, by providing the support to get the streets closed, all the barricades out to where they need to be, and then coming back and cleaning up after those events. Excuse me, I participated in some of the booths that were there. It was an extremely well-attended event. I was a little surprised myself because I thought, you know, there wasn't really a lot of pre-publicity to the event, but it managed to get out via their social media measures and things, and so the estimates are anywhere between 6,000 and 8,000 people during the course of the day. It was a little bit of a logistical challenge for not only our staff, but for the police and the rangers that had to work this site, that having a mile long with probably at least a dozen streets crossing. It was a bit of a logistical issue there, but one of the things that I think was good is that it did pull a lot of community groups out. They had a good organizational structure to manage. I have no idea how many booths they had, probably close to 200 booths, and everyone was broken up into a little group. I think they worked very well. I think it went really well. I think everybody that I talked to had a good time while they were there. A lot of information was distributed, so I think it went really well. Come on in. Actually, you know what? You have your pictures? Sorry, excuse me. Do you want to give those to Dennis and then he'll put them out? And then we're going to have you talk from that podium. Okay? Great. So the Patch people are here. So I'll go ahead and stop and I can pick up my information.
Okay, back to Open
afterwards, if
Streets.
That's okay. So, I think a couple of meetings ago, the commissioners asked if we could get an update on the patch and what's going on with that. So we're going to take some time to do that and let them talk about themselves. You have a...
I have to show them which file it is.
Okay.
We could still talk about open
Or you can just
streets.
use this right now. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
It's the same thing. Here's this one. Thank you. Got it? And we'll just go a little bit. Okay.
Yes, it's always a challenge to figure it out.
I think there's one, a paper right there that doesn't have the lamination. Right there, Dennis. Yeah, that might be better. Okay, hi everyone.
Welcome.
I'll try to make this kind of quick. So I'm Karina Posada. I'm the program coordinator for the patch, and I'll let these students introduce themselves.
Hello.
Go ahead, you can just talk or whatever.
Hello, my name is Sebastian Piñon. I'm a student at Pioneer Valley.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Emily Espacio, and I'm also a student from Pioneer Valley.
Good afternoon, I'm Laura Carolla, I'm also a student from Pioneer Valley.
And I'm Tyler Dickinson. I'm their agriculture teacher at Pioneer Valley High School.
And Tyler also carries over to the patch as a student coordinator, so he's part of the patch team per se. So I'm just here to talk a little bit about who we are. So as a program, we're dedicated to providing free agricultural education programs to all high school students in our community. Last year, we had over 80 students signed up for our program, and on average, we had about 30 students at each program, and that goes back to the obstacle of transportation. So we did the best we could to get as many students out there as we can, but that's something we're continuing to overcome. So with our mission, we felt that we had a very diverse and unique program, so we reached out to the Recreation and Parks Department as well as Betteravia Farms, and we were able to partner with them since our program does involve education, agriculture, and recreation. So we felt like those partners were the best fit. And we provide 3 programs. We provide programs through outreach, work days, and student board. So work days are located out at Los Flores Ranch, which is where the patch is located. A small area out there is where we do a lot of our work. And students come out and they get to do hands-on work, and I think we did irrigation and a lot of land prep because we do have an acre large corn maze out there. And we also provide opportunities for students through outreach. So just the other day, we were at Santa Maria Open Streets, reaching out to our community, playing games with the youth in our community, and also educating them about agriculture and also who we are as a program. And last but not least, we provide programs through a student board, which is just a small council that the students get together and propose new ideas, and we want to know what they want to see in our community, and we like to cater to them as best as we can. So I think, Sebastian?
Personally, my favorite experience at the patch was when we went to Harris Ranch to plant transplants. We planted a variety of gourds, pumpkins, and I feel like that's something that students should implement in the future, as like they only work on books and not like learn anything about agriculture hands-on. And yes.
Perfect. And while they did transplant at Betteravia Farms, they were able to use the actual transplant machine. So Plantel was one of our sponsors. They brought an operator out there and all of the things that we needed. And we planted over 5 acres of pumpkins that day, which yields about 30,000 pumpkins. So there's a lot, and I think we did it in 4 hours, so it was pretty quick. It was cool to see. I don't have too much agricultural experience, but to see how fast that could be done was amazing to me. And I think that brings us to our main event, which was September 27th through October 31st last year. We were open Thursday through Sunday, and we provided free crafts for kids. We had promotional events. If the kids wore their costumes, they got to go through the corn maze for free. We provided field trips for over 10 schools in the community, which was awesome. And it also gave our students an opportunity to volunteer. So it was all, our event was all volunteer ran. So I'm gonna pass it over to Lady.
So our main event, I say it went really successful. Like the changes that you've seen like happen to our main event, from going to like we had a mountain before and it ended up being like an acre corn maze, and we've seen everybody enjoy the patch, from like adults to the little kids. We were able to volunteer in the parking lot and in the corn maze also. And with that, we were able to see like the change and like the growing of like what the patch really is.
So our students, it was student ran and volunteer ran, and because of the students, it's really what made the program and the event work so well. So we're grateful for all of our students that we have that participate. And also in our main event, it allowed us to provide an opportunity for our students to be creative and come up with ideas in projects that they wanted to take on. And Dora actually took on a succulent project this year.
Yes, so throughout the main event, we came up with these succulent stock, which we transplanted about 150 succulents to style to people in the main event, and I really enjoyed that because I learned how to budget and I learned a lot of different things while doing that. And it was really successful to see people actually enjoy what we had made.
Yeah, and I don't think this could have happened without all of the sponsors and in our community that took the time to support us. And I wish I had a picture of we had a big sponsor pyramid, and on our sponsor pyramid we had signs for every business that supported us, and it was really cool. People could take pictures in front of it and kind of just see that this is truly a community event that's supporting our youth. And it's really cool to see. At the end of the season, we closed on October 31st, and we held a scholarship dinner. We were able to award over 40 students with scholarships, and we gave back $13,000 to our students. And like I said before, there's no way that this event would have happened without the hard work and dedication of the students, and it benefits everyone because our students are getting some experience in our community. They can support their youth and come out to a fall event that's like none other around here at least. And yeah, and this year we're on track we're at about 90 students signed up right now. They re-enrolled a few weeks ago, so we're definitely on track to serve a lot more youth in our community. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent.
Any questions?
It's not a question, but first, congratulations. It's a huge project and it sounds like it's very successful. I've long thought that Santa Maria deserves an organization much like the Avila Barn to use as a template, something ongoing since we are an agricultural community. When my children were little, almost every weekend, it seems like we were up at the Avila Barn for one reason or another, whether it's for the tractor ride, the produce, fruits and vegetables, the pies, etc. So I'm sure it's not a question that you can answer directly, but it's more a comment, a suggestion for the community of Santa Maria. Maybe perhaps this is something that we can work on collectively, get the sponsors together, the high schools, your program, and start dovetailing. I looked at the old house
Enos
behind
house.
the Enos house, and I thought that would be a wonderful venue location for such a event idea. But I hear that the plans are already set in place, but perhaps we can target it as a goal and start working on something for the Santa Maria community, involving family projects, etc.
That's definitely a possibility. We've considered even having like little stops in town because it is quite a drive to get out to Los Flores Ranch, and it might be difficult for a lot of families. So we've considered doing something similar to like what you're saying, where It's not too much of an attraction, but it's somewhere where people can still like participate in what we're doing and contribute to it all.
Once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I visited the patch and had a great time in the corn maze, and like the little jokes along the way, which I thought was a great addition. I'm sure one of the students came up with something like that. All the activities were great for a first-year event, and I'm just so excited for what's going to be year 2, and excited to hear all the student enrollment. But I just wanted to praise you for the affordability of your pumpkins. You didn't see anybody walk away from that pumpkin patch without something, either a small pumpkin, a succulent, or even a large pumpkin. And I think that's what really made this a successful event for a lot of the families that did make it out to Los Flores to the event. So I really praise you on that and your hard work.
Thank you.
I'd like just to echo my gratitude for all of your hard work and dedication to the project. I was so excited to see that Santa Maria would have something like this. As a kindergarten teacher, we would take our students northbound every year, and as soon as there's something here in the community, I think I was the first one that called to book that trip. And our students had such a wonderful time. It was a great way to introduce Los Flores Ranch to our families, and also have our young students see kind of their future, see ways that they can participate and be involved. So I'm super excited about this next year, and I can't wait to see the additions that you guys have and all the fruits of your labor. So thank you so much for all of your work.
Thank you.
I have one more question, if would.
Ann, do you think?
I thought you
Okay.
were asking me a question.
I'm just curious, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I was overwhelmed by the scope of the project. At first, I thought it was just going to be a few pumpkins, and you guys did a phenomenal job. It just, I was so impressed. And having children that went and enjoyed the event, and I don't see how it could have been any better, but I know you guys will find a way. Thank you.
I have a question. I forget the gentleman's name, but he's the founder of the Growing Grounds off of Foster. Have you conversed with such a person before?
No, I'm not familiar. There's actually, so it's me, Tyler, and there's 2 other friends of ours that are part of the team, and we have close relationship with Betaravia Farms, and actually this year they did all of our transportation for us last minute, and so we're super grateful for that. So their partnership has been a great accommodation for us. So.
Yeah.
And we would be open to definitely reaching out.
Yeah, they're a nonprofit also.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'll have to find out the name.
Yeah, wonderful.
Is it Frank Rosari?
It might be the name Frank.
Frank
I
Rosari.
remember I talked to him about the apple barn
Okay,
idea.
thank you. Amazing. You guys are just, our town needs things like this, and it's a showcase for you guys. I mean, it's, our kids doing wonderful things for the rest of our community and showcasing our parks.
Yes, it's a perfect hand-in-hand
Perfect.
situation.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait to hear about next year. What about the trolleys? Is that a possibility? I'm just saying.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey. We have talked with the transit people. Right now, we were able to get the transit passes. The route for the wine trolley kind of heads out that way, but I don't believe it goes to the ranch. I believe it makes a hard left at
So
Dominion Road.
that route is like etched in stone, is that the deal? I'm just asking.
We can talk to transit and see where they are with that and see if that's a possibility. Yes, we can check.
Okay.
Or do a shuttle from that hard left turn drop-off section.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know if they'd be able to handle a lot of our people though. So.
All we can do is ask. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Okay, we are,
You want your cards back?
oh, yeah.
Way to reuse. Way to reuse.
Well, they're plastic. Okay, we're back to noteworthy activities. We're just
Yes,
about
noteworthies.
finished with
Open streets.
open streets.
Yes, so, Open Streets, I mean, who'd have known? You know, that it went so well, and I think there were a lot of positives for it. I'm waiting, I haven't heard from Kent yet. There's going to be a debrief.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of, minor things that we would like to bring up to them, but some suggestions on maybe condensing the project down a little bit, because it was pretty tough to, again, it's just a person power thing, you just
Yeah.
got a mile to have to deal with the public, and a lot of people don't understand, well, what do you mean I can't go down my street? Or I can't get to my gas station where I get gas, every Sunday. So it's had a few of those kinds of issues come up. But I think in general, I think it went really well. I don't think there were any significant problems.
How fun just to be able to walk down, I mean, you never even think of it, but just to walk down the middle of Main Street, West Main Street. It was
Yes.
it was kind of magical, it was really fun, and just the people, anyway.
Yeah, skateboards,
Everything.
tricycles, bicycles,
Yeah.
baby strollers, yeah, I mean, and it was hard even for me, I was trying, when I was dropping stuff off at a couple of the booths, it was like, I gotta get off the street. So I was like, okay.
Looking behind you.
Yeah.
Okay, leisure needs assessment?
So, Mr. Smitherman, where are we on leisure needs assessment?
I just received the most recent progress report, and we're moving right along on schedule, on task. So recently, we've completed all the strategic kickoff and meetings, community meetings, stakeholder meetings, and individuals. We are in the process right now, the community needs assessment, which hopefully you've all taken the survey. I saw that some of you may have forwarded on Facebook, so thank you. I did get a report earlier yesterday about the results. They are coming in. We have about 400 surveys that have come in electronically, but of course, we would like as many as possible. So if you could help continue to push that through your social media pages, or even old school, get that link out there, santamariasurvey.org/open. Again, that's santamariasurvey.org/open. It is bilingual, so there is an option for Spanish on there as well. And we're just trying to get as many surveys back as possible, so please help.
Sorry to interrupt you, a question on that?
Sure.
Not to add more work, but when people are coming in to register for classes or facilities, are we encouraging them? Kind of when you pay at the store, if you fill out the survey, you can.
No, that's a great idea. We definitely can put that survey. I do have paper versions in my office. We like the electronic one.
Right, but if we give them that link and say, if you go to
Sure.
this link, we encourage,
Yeah.
at least just the encouragement to go.
Absolutely. We'll make that happen, thank you. The next level we'll be working on is the action plan. So after all the results from the hard copy survey that was sent out to 3,800 people, and then the electronic surveys, as well as the hard copies we're doing at our pop-up events and special events, we'll have the RRC, which is the contractor working on the survey, gather all that data and start to work on an action plan for your review and edits and eventually approval. But we're more than halfway done right now. We're closer to 3/4 of the way done, and we're really looking forward to getting the surveys wrapped up, which will be just in about a little over a week. We'll have to get all of our electronic surveys completed, so again, help push that. The paper surveys, we have a couple more events we'll be attending, including the Friday night events. We're going to have staff visit a couple of key locations, grocery stores, soccer fields, just a couple of staff go out with clipboards and try to get some surveys taken that way as well. At the Open Streets event, we had 40 surveys completed. Thank you for those who volunteered. and staff did a great job as well. We have bilingual staff out there able to assist in that if needed. We don't have the written one, the paper version in Spanish, so. That's where we're at. We're hoping again to have this project completed middle of summer, hopefully July.
Good.
And it looks like so far we're right on track with that.
Thank you. Question?
Commissioner Velasco mentioned at the last meeting that having some way to gather input at the Friday morning farmers market would be a good way to get a section of the population that you're not going to get at the gas station and the soccer fields and whatnot.
Is that the flea market?
The fairgrounds.
The flea market, yeah. We'll make sure that's it.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. That's exciting. Commissioner.
If I could ask, sorry, I have some drop-in items. Dennis, if you could slide that back onto the screen.
Oh, absolutely.
So in your next agenda, we're going to be talking about National Recreation Park Association project, which is Parks for Inclusion. And what it is a template for departments to adopt an inclusion policy, something that we would use across the board in the development of our parks and our programs. And what I would like to do is bring it back to you in more detail at the next meeting, have the Capital Projects Committee work on this project and maybe bring back something to you sometime over the summer that would actually lay out a policy that we would use in two things. When our program people are developing programs to take into consideration, those individuals with a disability who might need to be addressed with special needs. Then also in our design development projects that we are taking into consideration, what are those needs? We're working with the Noontime Kiwanis on the inclusionary playground up at Prescott Park. We hope to get that under construction this summer. So it's just timely that this has come out and something that we need to do as an agency. Citywide, had a meeting today with our risk department about our compliance issues with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So it's on the city's radar also to start doing something to move from beyond just the facility kind of thing, making sure the parking spaces there and the door is accessible, and moving into talking about things like programs and services that we offer, and make sure that they're also considering, inclusive policies. So we'll be bringing that back to you later on. The other item we handed out to you was an item that was in the League of Cities magazine, this last issue that came out, and it's, sorry, it's kind of split up there in half, but basically it was Santa Ana's approach to dealing with homelessness. And it was interesting because if you kind of take a look at the pictures that are in this thing, for the most part, those people are doing recreational kinds of activities, so it's just, again, I think we haven't used recreation medium as a way to provide some service levels to those individuals in the community who are homeless. There's a whole plan in this 28-day shelter that they created. It's certainly something that, again, we could have a discussion about. Is there an opportunity maybe to partner with one of the nonprofits and maybe somebody who's willing to provide some recreational opportunities, provide some options for those people who are homeless to not just sit around. Maybe they go in. A lot of the individuals use the library. Sometimes that's not the most conducive place for them, but they go in there because they're able to get out of the weather, they're able to read. So there's obviously some issues that we have to deal with, but I think we need to start having a plan. The city does have an internal task force of departments that work on the homeless issue, and Yeah, I think it's just maybe something for us to consider. So I give this to you for reading right now. I'm not going to bring anything back to you on it. Just maybe food for thought. Maybe some of you have some thoughts we might want to follow up on later on.
Absolutely.
And,
Sorry, Alex, just on that, just because it is a topic we've touched on prior, just because to our park rangers, a lot of that compliance of our facilities with the homeless population falls to them. I know in the NRPA magazine, February, there was a study on homelessness and how park and recreation agencies view their role in that. I don't know if anybody took a look
Yes.
at that. And there was some interesting insight in there about how maybe we could put some ideas into practice. I mean, obviously, a day center is kind of what this is looking at, and I think maybe that's something that we need to start going in the direction of, and it's obviously going to maybe fall into our department, so I think it's better to start getting a handle on it now and really exploring that, so.
yes, thank you.
That's an excellent idea. I don't know, I think everyone probably would agree. I don't know, maybe we could pursue that and at least have some discussions and some outreach to our
We
community.
could certainly look at some models of what's out there. I think a lot of it is doing that research, legwork. We had a couple of interns besides Dante this summer, so we actually have a gentleman coming from Fresno State who is a local person who's been here before, and then one other one, I can't remember, where's that one? Yeah, so we'll have some extra hands that do some of this extra little legwork around and get some information for us, so we can follow up with
Just
that.
with the Continuum of Care Committee that is part of the county, there's, money there for a lot of these issues, so it's always something to look into when we're doing that research as well.
Sure.
So.
Commissioner Lee?
I just want to comment, I'm a huge proponent for just drop-in type recreation. So for, number one, for all of our facilities, if there's a way to make sure we have open drop-in hours, events going on. When we go by the park, I live by Centennial Park, there's a huge sheltered area, and it'd be nice to see yoga popping up, or on a Friday evening, maybe Tai Chi going on throughout the parks in Santa Maria, but much more drop-in type where it's informal, but it's popping up all over the city.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes.
We will take all those items. Upcoming events sheets we left you on your podium.
Yeah.
Couple of things. Spring Flower Walk at Los Flores. Rudy Gutierrez is here, the coordinator at Los Flores. There's a lot of flowers out there. We don't have that, what do they call it, super bloom, but we do have, I think in our case, I think it is a super bloom. I think we did end up with a lot of wildflowers we didn't even know were out there. So if you get out, and the thing is that this wind is going to dry us out, in a few days. So if you get a chance to go out there.
It's at 8:30? What time does it start?
9.
Oh, 9. Okay, good.
8:30 by the second block.
Also coming up, on Saturday, the 4th of May is the mountain biking out there, and we've again, a good group of mountain bikers that show up. The soccer tournament is on the 4th. I believe that's being run by Sports Division, so that's one of the challenges that I gave that staff was to try to get out and do some community events and actually run them ourselves, as opposed to handing it off to one of the other groups to do. So we're trying to step that up a little bit this year. Fashion in Action on Sunday the 5th, that's the Strut and Stroll. It's part of our Action Club, which is sponsored by the department, Kiwanis, and what this show is kind of a parody on a fashion show. You're going to go out there, it's individuals representing a nonprofit agency. They compete, and if they're chosen, then the Action Club awards them a cash award for their nonprofit. So it's a little different angle. There's no entry fee, it's free. So
That sounds cool.
they're always looking for entries. Play does have a table out there that day. If anybody's interested in attending, let me know, and we'll be happy to get you a spot at a table. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's very cool. You get lunch and then be part of the show. You get to enjoy the show. The senior prom, it's like anything else in Santa Maria, it always happens on the same day, but that's over at the Muscle Center, and yes, let's see, that's kind of their spring graduation, and I believe it's still organized by some of the high schools in town. They organize it for the seniors and, bring the refreshments and everything. The Bird Walk is coming up. And I don't know what scat, rattle, and roll is, but I'm sure somebody asked me what scat was. I had to explain that to them. So, again, I think it's just another example of the staff up there trying to get people out, trying to make things a little bit more enjoyable. Yeah, so we're moving. They're in the middle of building some trails right now. We're going to add another, what do you figure, about 2 to 3 miles of trails. They're under construction right now, so it'd be pretty cool, getting us to some parts of the ranch that we haven't accessed on foot before, so, for the public anyway, so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's my favorite part. Well, I mean, you don't really show favorites, but it's so fun to go. Just saying. Thank you. Okay. Official business conducted by a member. Who wants to start?
I'll go.
Perfect.
I didn't really have anything really official, but I just wanted to remind everybody that tomorrow, is it 5:30? There's a meeting for the Enos house.
Good.
In the grounds around it at Veterans, and then Thursday night, it's the soccer game field next to the cemetery.
Cemetery.
And so both, they're taking input and giving information, so if you want to find out some more about those two projects, be sure to be there.
Thank you for bringing that up. Okay.
I think Open Streets was the only thing that I was able to participate in, but I was glad that I did. It was a great event. I was able to go to the opening of the cultural center too, which was well attended and
The
very
name
positive.
of it is?
Corazon
Del
de Pueblo.
De Pueblo.
Yeah. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Same, I participated in Open Streets just as a guest, and then we have our Play board meeting April 15th, so we'll have an update at our next commission meeting.
Excellent. Thank you.
Just have a question. I noticed a lot of events happening at Los Flores, which is wonderful, but it seems so far and remote. My question is Pioneer part of Santa Maria Park?
Yes, Pioneer Park, yes.
Are there any formal activities going on out there?
Once in a while. The biggest thing at Pioneer is it's a rental facility, so it's heavily rented by the public for events. So that makes it a little difficult to program, but we have had things like we've hosted Girl Scout and Boy Scout, their jamboree kinds of projects that they do. So we've done those kinds of things there. Again, it is a little bit of a programmatic problem to get all the way out there. But most of our activities in the parks are, like you suggested there, the drop-in, after-school, youth-oriented programs. And in the summer, we extend those to other park sites. So, but organized events, we kind of keep to a minimum, I really think so, in town.
Okay, official business. My official business, on March 16th, I attended the legacy ceremony out on West Carmen, right? And I wanted to go see an update, because now they're actually broke ground on it, and I'll report on it hopefully next month. But you're all familiar with that? Okay, yeah, because they were here. It's going to be a public trail.
Okay.
And where it would just in housing complex, and the Leadership Santa Maria, they took that on as their graduation project.
Okay.
So it's going to be kind of a cool space. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it comes out. And March 19th was the conference, the CPRS conference. And then March 31st was Open Streets, and I'm really proud to have been an organizer, a small organizer of that. But the conference, I was just going to say, I actually had a question about it, but this year's classes or sessions were completely on a different realm than last year. So I'm assuming that, because every year they have a new chair, so I'm assuming that chair might set the tone for what they're going to have. But anyway, the opening ceremony, Paul Romero, who did our little conference in January, he won the Hall of Fame award. That was cool, yeah. And I'll just quickly, because we're supposed to, run through which ones I attended. I won't go into detail. The Power of Play, why public art should be in our community. Okay, so one thing. They had the best idea. It was the cutest idea. In the city of one of the northern cities, because it was, we're in Sacramento, so everybody was from up north that did the presentations. But they had the cutest idea, because, there's pianos in all the thrift stores now. Everybody, nobody plays a piano anymore, apparently. So they got pianos, and they chained them to trees. They had kids come and paint them. And for the summer, there were pianos like all over town that people could just come and play. They did them outside bars, outside restaurants, in shopping malls. And what a cute idea. Could you imagine some pianos on Broadway? I mean, seriously, how darling, and painted by classes. Anyway, I really love that idea.
Classes could do that.
Excuse me?
Kindergarten classes could do them.
I need one of those.
We have a
cameras.
source.
Goodwill. Anyway, and then, another thing that was kind of really interesting, they run a graffiti camp for girls, because usually it's the boys that does the graffiti, and the Recreation Parks program does a graffiti camp for girls, and then they do a big mural at the end of the camp. Isn't that cool? Anyway, I wanted to tell you that. The next one is optimistic strategies for addressing urban homelessness, which will feed right into some of the illustrations of what some of the towns have done are remarkable, and very little money and just a little time, and we could probably do that, which is probably why Alex is, because he was at the same one. Fuel your community's passion for play and recreation. Optimistic, that was another one, optimistic strategies. Is that the different one? No, it's the same one. The homelessness. Creating an equitable park system. It was a complete parks approach. Change made easy. And the last one is how we are taking charge of our future. But it was a really great conference, and I'm really grateful I got to go. Thank you.
Thank you for going, and I think it was good for our staff that went. We sent Casey Stone, our senior ranger. We sent Jeanette Blanco, our special events person, and David Rodriguez, our volunteer / everything else that needs to be done guy. And I think they enjoyed it. I've been to so many of them that it is interesting to see what the focus is at each of them. And in this case, I think the focus was very social issue driven. And I think that was a little bit of a change. I think one of the things that they didn't do that I noticed was they really didn't spend a lot of time with commissioners. Usually there's a commissioner section.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a 4-hour meeting, and it was canceled.
And those are important, because again, like our commission training in January, it allows commissioners to sit down and talk a little bit about what each of their cities are doing. Maybe that'll come back next year and we'll have some participation in it. So next year, the conference will apparently be back in Southern California, Long Beach, I believe. So I encourage you all to try and plan a little bit of time. It's always generally at the same time of year, and which is usually the third or fourth week in March. It's a Tuesday through Friday, middle of the week. I know it's tough for some of you. But if you have the time and interest, we certainly would like you to go and get some ideas and that's what it's about. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any last comments? Anything?
When's the last time the Santa Maria hosted one?
It's a pretty big conference, so
Yes.
usually you need to have a convention center, something
Yeah.
else we don't have. I would say there's probably close to 4,000
At
attendees,
least.
somewhere around there. So, yeah, we don't
And
have
you
a
need to
place
have the
around here.
hotels and the
Yeah.
I mean, let's start
the
with Kevin.
infrastructure. But they do Sacramento and Long Beach, and they switch off, and they're going to be redoing the Sacramento Convention Center, so it's going to be in probably Long Beach 2 years in a row.
Yes, and I've been to them in smaller communities, you know, like suppose the big city, like Palm Springs had it one year, and the facilities just don't, you have to have the right places to
Yeah.
do things, because you're scattering people throughout wherever you are, so.
I just have one, sorry, not to elongate this, but I noticed Casey participated in a lot of the planning for like tragedies. So I actually responded to the Las Vegas tragedy, and we're currently working on a protocol to respond. And so I think it'd be important for him, for the Rangers to be part of that discussion. So if it'd be okay to meet
Sure.
with him on that, just to
Sure.
see what he learned, and just to make him aware of what's happening in the county around that, so.
Well, I think part of that training for the Rangers is, you know, they get the law enforcement stuff, you know, they know how to deal with that. I think there's a lot of the other, you know, the things, the tools of the trade, but I think some of those things we miss out, like, you know, how to be more compassionate about
Right.
things, how to look at a whole picture kind of thing. Sometimes they're just doing what they need to do.
Right,
You
so,
know, so I think that would be great.
okay.
So, thank you.
Excuse my ignorance, is the Rangers Santa Maria Community Service Organization for teenagers, or what are they?
There are law enforcement arm in the department, so they have responsibilities for all the public spaces in Santa Maria, not just parks, but, you know, library, transit center,
So
the
it's
mall.
an actual position?
Yes.
And approximately how many people?
We have 8 Rangers, 32-hour week. I believe we have 4 32s, and then 3 full-time, including the supervisor.
Okay.
And then the part-time. But part of your orientation will continue
Okay.
with that. We'll have you meet with
Do-
them.
Just out of curiosity, do you have a teenage-type similar program, but for teenagers in the community?
There's a volunteer program that David Rodriguez runs that, what's it called, Step Up. And they train them for summer volunteer positions, and then we also have a summer employment program where we look for teens specifically and then hire them and put them into different departments around the city, not just ours. So.
Great.
Okay, do we have a motion to
I move to adjourn.
adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Thank you very much.